Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, a crazy woman claims I stole her food and calls the cops on me because I have a different skin color. She claims I got guns and drugs, but I am just delivering pizza. I end up getting handcuffed, but the situation makes a 180-degree turn. Here is what happened to Karen. Let's dive right into the story. So what do you think when you hear that a job might be dangerous? Probably law enforcement, maybe construction. Hell, maybe even an electrician. I did not think that anything bad could happen to me with my job being a pizza delivery guy. I am a black guy, which is relevant later, and in college working at a pizza place to afford things like my textbooks. I mainly run deliveries, which I am fine with because I don't mind driving and spending a shift alone. Sometimes I even get a nice tip because there are a couple of rich areas within range of the shop. I am sent on a delivery run to a neighborhood I'm pretty familiar with. One thing I want to mention is the car is owned by the pizza place and has the name and logo on it and everything. The run was a little weird because we actually had orders from two houses right next to each other. It would have been easy on paper to just run both of them at once. One house just ordered a pie while the other house ordered something like 3 specialty pizzas and a couple of Parmesan heroes. It would have taken way too long, so instead they gave me the first order and I was just gonna have to run back and forth. Not ideal, but it happens sometimes. The drive is fine, I get there and hand off the pizza. If this were a video game, mission accomplished would flash on the screen. On the way back to the car though, I hear screaming from next door and at first I forgot about the other order. She is waving me over and I decide to go and try explain things instead of just looking like a jerk and driving off. Me, hello? Karen cuts me off. Karen, I ordered pizza. You sent it to the wrong house. Me, actually that was a separate order. Yours was a large one and as they said on the phone would take some time. It'll probably be ready when I get back there and can bring it to you. Karen, you're a liar. You stole my order and gave it to them. I bet they're your friends and you decided you could get away with this. Me, like I said, your order is still at the store and I know your type too well. Coming in this nice neighborhood with drugs and getting the kids hooked. I bet you won't hold this job for a week before you're back doing crack with your baby mama. I really wish that I was joking, but it was something that came out of her mouth. I started walking back to the car when I heard Karen on the phone calling the police. She claimed that a black man had stolen the pizza company car and was driving around the neighborhood selling drugs. I was only 19 and scared of what was going to happen. I even heard her tell them that I had a gun and I didn't know what to do. I called my boss, panicked, and he told me to stay where I was and not go back into the car. Just to wait outside of it and he was gonna get in his personal car and come to me. I just have to say that he is an amazing man and boss because I know most employers would not do that for their low-paying delivery boys. So I wait and the police happen to show up first with guns fixated on me. They really thought I had a gun and Karen shouting in the background that I had one was not helping. I cannot remember exactly how, but I ended up on the pavement face first while I was getting frisked. I'm not afraid to admit that I was basically crying in fear thinking that I was gonna get shot or worse. Finally, they let me up to a sitting position but handcuff me and sit me on the curb. I am too scared to say anything until they talk to me because first they are busy talking to Karen. Finally, they start talking to me, but they ask me where I have the drugs and how I stole the car. I managed to get out that I work for the place delivering pizzas. At this point, other attention is grabbed and the neighbors I delivered the pizza to were running outside as well as my boss showing up in the car. My neighbors saying that I just delivered them a pizza and the police could come inside and see that there was not anything weird about it. My boss was also telling them that I worked for him and was actually yelling at the cops to take me out of the handcuffs because I didn't do anything. They listened and I was guided by my boss into the passenger seat on his car. He told me to stay there and he would take care of everything with the police. Then he handed me napkins to wipe the blood off my face I did not even know was there. I could still hear everything that was going on outside, but I knew my boss was gonna help me. Karen, of course, he's a drug pusher. He's wearing a hoodie and he looks like he comes from the slums. That is not what a pizza delivery guy looks like. Boss, that kid is only 19 years old and working his way through college. He came with nothing but a pizza, but you called the cops claiming that you saw him with drugs and a gun. None of which exist. Karen, he gave away my food. I want him thrown in jail for fraud. Boss, none of that was your food. You were told on the phone it would take longer because it was a bigger order. Now though, you're not getting anything from my store. You are banned from the store. Now Karen and boss were getting into a fight with him, adamant that she would never get pizza from him again, and her telling the police that she wanted him arrested because it was her right because of capitalism. The police calmed down the situation and told Karen that my boss was right and she had bigger issues to deal with. She made a false police call about a man attacking her with a gun. Not only that, she profiled me as being dangerous based on my skin color, which is a hate crime. Despite yelling that she wanted me arrested, she was still taken away by the police at the end of the day. I also vaguely remember an officer coming and telling me that he was sorry I got hurt when getting handcuffed, but they had to be careful in case I really had a gun. I did not want to listen to him though, I just want to go back to my dorm and take a shower. My good boss drove me back to school and told me that he was still gonna pay me for the entire shift, that I didn't do anything wrong, and to take a couple of days off. Again, I really loved that boss and I continued working for him to pay for college the entire 4 years I went there. I was famous around campus for getting the frat houses some bulk deals also. As for Karen, I don't know what happened to her and I really don't care, I just know I never ended up delivering in that area again, thanks to my boss. And yeah guys, I guess if you deal with entitled people, then every job, including being a pizza delivery guy, can be a dangerous one. Did you ever have any dangerous jobs? If you did, let us know in the comments. Thankfully, at the moment, being a YouTuber is not really dangerous, because I don't really have to deal with entitled people, instead I just read about them. Anyway, let's continue with the next story. This one is titled, Never Brake Check Me. First, a little backstory. I'm a college student and cycle to campus every day. It's not a long ride at all, but I have to go through a zone where it is illegal to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk, so I'm just forced to ride on the road. Most drivers don't care and just go around me, since I stay to the edge and don't make myself a nuisance. Also, I have a crappy e-bike that I commute on, this will be important later. A few weeks ago, a guy in a Ford SUV, I don't know exactly which kind, started yelling at me as he drove by while I was in the road-only zone. All the usual, "Get off the road, roads are for cars, you're too slow" kind of stuff. I get that from drivers on a weekly basis, I just ignore it and keep going. This man was special though, since he cut right in front of me and slammed on his brakes after yelling. I was able to stop before I hit him and he floored it out of there yelling, "Better be careful next time, bike." I was pretty mad, but I hadn't got his license plate or anything, and I doubt anything could be done about it anyway, because there was no real proof. Over lunch, I told one of my friends who works as an EMT the story and he got seriously pissed off. Apparently he has seen the results of a car successfully brake checking on a cyclist and they are not pretty. 2 days later, the same Ford SUV/jerk tried to brake check me again. I was expecting it as soon as I heard him yelling, "Get on the sidewalk, bike!" from behind, so I avoided a crash again. I told my EMT friend over lunch again, and he was even madder than before. I wanted to let it go since I cannot really do anything about him, and my bicycle is not gonna win in a crash. This guy keeps trying to brake check me every few days during my morning commute whenever we're on the same patch of road at the same time. About a week ago, my EMT friend told me that he told my story to one of his friends and the campus police, who were equally pissed off. The two of them wanted to catch this jerk driver. The plan was to have the policeman parked on the side of the road in hopes of catching and pulling over the jerk. I heartily agreed, and the officer pulled some strings and had himself posted on speeder catching duty for that stretch of road. A few days passed uneventfully with no sign of the road rager. I saw the cop parked in the same spot on the side of the road every day, a spot where the road has a left turn lane and a straight lane. Finally, I'm pedaling along and I hear the familiar voice scream, "Get the hell off my road, douche!" I yelled back, "Catch me then," and took off. I was spinning my scrawny little chicken legs as hard as they would go and packed the throttle. I guess this made the driver even madder because I heard his engine roar as he pursued me. He shifted into the left lane as I stayed in the right. I looked to the side and saw a nasty old man in the driver's seat with the passenger window open. His mouth was going like he was yelling, but I could not hear him over the wind noise. I saw the police car spot approaching and started to slow down. Taking the opportunity, the driver swung right in front of me. I don't know if it was the speed or his anger that made him swing wide, but he cut across my lane and crashed straight into the back of the police car. I barely applied my brakes. I slowed down to about 15 miles per hour and crashed into the side of his car. The officer got out, spitting mad would be an understatement, and called an ambulance and another police car. Everyone was unhurt since the jerk was going only like 25 miles per hour, but there was enough of an impact to trigger the SUV's airbags. The jerk ended up getting arrested for driving drunk. Seriously, who drinks before 9 AM? For an illegal lane change and probably other stuff too. I don't know all the details. I imagine that causing a crash like that would entail some additional charges. The guy ended up having to pay for extensive repairs on the police cruiser and for a new e-bike to replace the one he destroyed by cutting in front of me because the frame snapped. On top of that, I hear that his car was defined as totaled by his insurance company since the airbags went off, so he also has to pay for a new car. With any luck, he will lose his license from the drunk driving charges and won't be able to menace cyclists again. The next one is titled Parking Revenge in Britain. There was a bloke who lived over the road from me. He had a little no parking sign in his front window. Keep in mind this was a UK public road and plenty of places to park. I've parked in front of his house because, you know, it's a public damn road. He comes out and goes bananas. That's his space and I better move it or else. I refused. The next morning the front tire has been stabbed. Fair enough, cannot prove it's him, but it was him. So it's time for revenge. I bought an old Ford Fiesta for £300. This was back in 1990. It was a complete shed and genuinely had 14 owners before me, but it was MOTE'd, see below, and I text/insured it for virtually no money. I waited for his wife to move their car from their space and parked that bad boy right outside his house on the public road. Again, the bloke comes out, goes crazy, and I just smile and say, enjoy. I left that wreck outside his place a full year. The tires got stabbed, windows broken, even got spray painted, kids playing in it, which enraged the dude even more, and I just left it there. I called the scrapyard with a day left on the MOT and laughed my ass off every day. No parking that. The next one is titled Car Dealer Revenge. The revenge in this story was more of a moment of opportunity rather than planned, but I'm enjoying it all the same. The setup: about 25 years ago I bought a car and also made the idiotic mistake of buying the extended warranty. That warranty was touted as a bumper-to-bumper warranty that included everything that might break. About 10 months into owning the car, it started exhibiting ignition system issues. I took it in and it was the coil. They replaced it at no charge and everything was fine. 3 months later, I had the same issue. I took the car back to the shop where I had purchased the car and told the manager what was happening. He said he would check it out and asked me to sign a shop order just like the last time. I get back to the shop a few hours later and the manager says it was the coil again and that I owed $158 for the part and labor. I asked him about the extended bumper-to-bumper warranty and his exact words were, "A coil is a standard maintenance part and the car is over a year old." Now, I had owned several cars and I never had a coil go out on a single one of them. I just asked him about the fact that he had replaced that same part just a few months ago and I was told it had a 30-day warranty and it was no longer covered. I then asked to see the shop order I signed and all I had agreed to was the $25 diagnostic fee. I told him to put the old part back in and I was not paying squat except the diagnostic fee to which I had agreed. When I pulled out my credit card to pay, he demanded the payment in cash. I was gonna get paid tomorrow and was poor back then, so I did not even have $25 in cash at that moment. I called a friend and he brought me the cash. I got in my car with the manager shouting expletives at me. The car ran, but it ran really rough, but I was able to get it to an auto parts store. I bought a coil and installed it in the parking lot of the store inside of 10 minutes. The aftermarket coil cost me $12 and it lasted until the car died from being driven for 7+ years. I contacted Ford after that incident and the coil should have been covered by my warranty. They asked me if I wanted to pursue getting my $25 back and to have a genuine Ford part put in instead of my $12 aftermarket part. I told him no because the car was running fine. The opportunity? As you may know from my other post, I work in the computer industry. One of my clients is an auto dealership. Well, the shop manager moved on to bigger and better things and a new shop manager was hired recently. Lo and behold, it was the same guy that was the Ford shop manager that tried to rip me off. I never remembered his name back then, but I now know it. We will call him Lenny. Well, Lenny was all smiles and obviously didn't remember me from that incident many years ago. For several months I worked on his systems in the shop and everything has been going great. I did notice he tried to pull the same crap he pulled with me on customers, but I stopped that by going to the owner. I told the owner about my issue with him in the past, and that I noticed similar arguments when I was working on the systems in the shop office where the customers would pay. The owner said he would watch the situation, and it seems to have stopped. A few months ago, Lenny asked me if I could take a look at his home computer, as there were files he couldn't access anymore. I said sure and asked him to bring it to work. I picked his system up at work and took it home. When I turned on the system, it was obvious that he had gotten one of the ransomware Trojans. Or Trojans? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Well, what I did was, I pulled the plug on the system and pulled the hard drive. I then called Lenny and asked if he had any backups. Amazingly, he did. I picked those up at the dealership and took them home. I told him what had happened and let him know that the best possible course of action would be to reload from scratch and restore from backup, to which he agreed. I also let him know that to get everything loaded and working the way it should, it would run close to $400. He also agreed to that, and I had him sign a work order indicating the price and the labor to be done. Now onto the revenge. I finished the reload and restore, and his computer is now working flawlessly. I even installed Sophos free home edition security software, so he won't have that issue again. I took an invoice to the dealership and it was a little over $450 tax and all. He took out a credit card to pay me and I looked him right in the eye and said, "Cash only." Lenny looked a bit shocked and said, "I don't even have that kind of cash at the moment, and why are you demanding cash only?" I looked him right in the eye and said, "Why did you demand cash only from a 20-something-year-old kid for a part that should have been covered under warranty?" He looked at me a bit longer and then recognized me. "You're the dude with that escort." I just smiled and said, "When you can pay me cash, you can have your computer." And then I walked away. It seems Lenny has not been too successful in life, as it has been several months and I still have not received any payment for his system. I did send him a letter that he has another 90 days to pick up his system, or it will be sold or parted out to pay his outstanding balance. The last time I was in the shop, he asked me to please accept a credit card and I told him to go get a cash advance. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I just love how petty the OP in this story was, but then again, it's not even really petty, it's just petty revenge, but I think that his revenge was absolutely justified. I really hate when shops or any people in life really try to rip you off. If you have ever gotten ripped off by a mechanic, feel free to let us know in the comments about what happened. Lady claims I stole her car and the police were called. I have seen posts about this kind of thing and thought, no way this is real. What kind of idiot would call the police for that? Well, yesterday it happened and I am still confused what this lady was thinking. We have been looking for a car for our youngest. Looking through online ads, we came across an ad for a luxury car that only wanted about 1/3 of what this car was worth according to Blue Books. Said car, however, just suddenly stopped starting. My husband is a mechanic, so we decided to look at it just to see. Immediately, he sees a couple potential problems as to why it does not start. The car has new tires, body nearly perfect, interior needs a few easy fixes. Still well worth way more than the owner is asking, even with paying for repairs to get it running. Of course, we bought it. The youngest is ecstatic about getting a luxury car for graduation, husband gets the car running, even easier fixed than he originally thought. And now it is time for Crazy Lady. It is time for plates and registration. Off to the DMV we go. Come out with the temporary tags, and as husband is putting them on the car, this lady walks up. Crazy Lady, "Excuse me." Me, distracted by the phone, "Excuse me?" "I'm sorry, do you need something?" "Yes, that car." Me, "My car? What about it?" "Where did you get it?" "We bought it a few weeks ago," I said. Crazy Lady, "That is my car." Husband, "No it isn't, and now get away from us." CL, "Yes, that is the car I was going to buy from previous owner and you stole it from me." Me, "Lady, I paid the previous owner what they were asking and nothing was said about you. Leave us alone." Crazy Lady responded, "Previous owner and I had an agreement about the car and you came in and made her sell it to you. I want it back and I want it now. I had to buy that piece of crap over there instead. Now you take that piece of crap and give me my car." What the F, Karen? Now get the hell out of my way before I run your stupid ass over. Karen, aka Crazy Lady, "I'm not going anywhere. I've already reported to the police that I have found my stolen car and they are on the way." Husband, "Are you completely insane, lady?" You cannot just report a car stolen because you missed the chance to buy it. What this insane Karen doesn't know is that we are actually waiting on the previous owner to show up to get her plate and registration because there was a mix-up with the title, DMV fault, and we had to wait to get that fixed before we could title, register and plate it, so we were still using the correct plates. Previous owner can then turn in her plate and get a refund for the months not used. 2 police cruisers pulled up about 5 minutes later. Previous owner pulled in right behind them. As the 2 officers are getting out and asking who called, previous owner walked up to me and my husband asking what is going on. She had not noticed the crazy lady yet. CL immediately started yelling how she had paid for this car and we forced the previous owner to give us the title instead. She wanted us arrested and her given the title and possession of the car right now. One of the officers walked over to us. I grinned because it is one of my friend's sons. Grew up with and was friends with my oldest son. Officer: "Hey Brandy, want to tell me what is going on?" Me: "I don't really know. We bought this car a few weeks ago from her," pointing to previous owner, "and while we were waiting for her to show up to get her plate, this woman started screaming at us about stealing the car. Something about them," pointing between previous owner and crazy lady, "that they had an agreement about the car, but she, the previous owner, sold it to us instead, and now crazy Karen is demanding we take whatever car she ended up buying and we give her this one." Previous owner: "Oh my god, this is exactly why I did not sell her the car in the first place. She is my neighbor and she is insane. She asked me about it when I decided to sell it and I told her she could buy it, but she wanted me to get it running again and still sell it to her for the low price. I told her I didn't want to deal with it and that is why it was so low. If I got it running again, I might just keep it, but I would definitely raise the selling price to at least double. She has called me a few times asking if I had it running yet and I have told her no, but she kept telling me to call her when I did." Officer then, going with procedures, checked all of our IDs, checked the bill of sale, previous registration and ran the VIN. Everything checked out. Officer: "I think we are done here." Addressing crazy lady: "Ma'am, it is a crime what you have attempted here. Actually, you made a false report, which is a crime, and I could arrest you. But I'm not going to. I'm sure you're just upset and made a bad judgment call, so we will let it slide." Crazy lady:
"No, it was not a false report. That is my car."
Officer: "Ma'am, stop. Just stop. I could also charge you with attempted car theft, but we are all just going to walk away now, okay?" Crazy lady:
"No, I'm not just walking away. This is BS.
Pointing at previous owner:
"You owe me."
Amount twice what we paid for the car.
"And you, I will get my car back."
Officer number 2: "Ma'am, step over by the cruiser. We need to have a talk." I gave the plate to the previous owner and officer number 1 told us to have a nice day. Husband and I went ahead and left while previous owner went into the DMV. Crazy lady was still ranting at officer number 2 about allowing us to steal the car. Previous owner texted me later that crazy lady was in the back of the police car when she left, still yelling. I'm not worried about any future contact with CL. We don't live in the town where the DMV is or where they live. In a couple of months the car will be 2 hours away with my youngest at college. CL does not know our names and previous owner does not know where we live.